Hey everyone, this is Joshua Orro, host of Mustang Prince Orro Reports. Joining me today for this video is my good friend and internet pen pal, the lovely Bonnie Joy O'Connor.
Hi Joshua, so what are we reviewing today?
Well, I'm glad you asked, Bonnie. Today, we're going to the magical world of Equestria to talk about a hit animated series that just turned 15 years old this year. My Little Pony: Friendship is Magic.
Excuse me a minute, please. Awesome! Let's do this!
For those who don't know, My Little Pony: Friendship is Magic is a Flash animated series created by Lauren Faust, based on a 1981 toy line, which ran from October 10th, 2010 to October 12th, 2019. The series follows a studious pony named Twilight Sparkle, her dragon assistant and son Spike, and her friends Applejack, Rarity, Fluttershy, Rainbow Dash, and Pinkie Pie. Throughout the show, the six pony friends, collectively known as the main six, go on adventures and help others around Equestria, solving problems with their friendship. Now, as I said back in 2017, I didn't instantly get into the series until after I saw the theatrical movie with my grandmother, and to me, while watching the show, I began to understand why folks, young, old, male, or female, love this series.
As for me, I didn't really get into the show until the third season came around, and by then I was a senior in high school, and I saw my two sisters watching it on Netflix and thought, I'm too old. But my oldest sister got into it, and my younger sister got into it, and they got me to see it, and I eventually fell in love with the show because the writing was superb, the animation was gorgeous, and the characters were memorable and likable, and each one had a personality. And this is from a show that really could have just been an average girls show, but they did something more with it that ended up attracting the attention of both girls and boys. And it's a phenomenon, and it's amazing.
Over the years, since I got into MLP as a Mustang Prince, not as a brony, I felt that the show had great animation, memorable characters, spectacular voice acting from the veterans to a few guest stars, fun moments, silly and inspirational gags, great songs, and nice friendship morals to learn from. So, in order to celebrate My Little Pony's 15 years, we'll be looking over some of our favorite episodes from each season. Now, we must remind you that this list is not going to be ranked by best episodes. Instead, we're just going to go in numerical order season by season. So, you ready, Bonnie?
Absolutely, let's do this!
Awesome. So, for all you at home, gather your friends and your pets together, put on your best ensemble, get some cupcakes, apples, and grab a good book, for these are our top favorite My Little Pony: Friendship is Magic episodes from each season.
Best friends until the end of time. We'll have each other's backs and let our true self shine. And that's because everything we need is all right here when we're with our team.
So, the best place to start is at the very beginning. During the season, when Twilight Sparkle moved from Canterlot to Ponyville and began her studies on friendship. And trust me, this season had a lot of good episodes. Some of my favorites include Bridal Gossip, where we were introduced to a zebra shaman named Zecora, along with Ticketmaster, Winter Wrap-Up, The Best Night Ever, and Suited for Success. But my absolute favorite from Season 1 is the Cutie Mark Chronicles. This is where the Cutie Mark Crusaders, Apple Bloom, Sweetie Belle, and Scootaloo, seek out and learn how the main six earned their cutie marks when they were young. To me, I found this episode to be very interesting, and I like each of the main six's backstories. My favorite being Twilight's, due to her going through an entrance exam to hatch a dragon's egg with magic in front of a panel of judges. And after passing, thanks to a magical rainbow explosion, not only did Twilight hatch Spike, but she also became Princess Celestia's protege. Also, I thought the part where Twilight jumps around shouting yes excitedly was pretty cute. Plus, I liked the part nearing the end where Twilight and her friends discover that Rainbow Dash's first sonic rain boom was what led each of them to gain their cutie marks. So, Bonnie, what's your selection for Season 1?
Well, that's a bit of a toughie, but... and maybe not. I have to go with the very first two episodes, which is a two-parter, Friendship is Magic, aka Mare and the Moon, and Elements of Harmony. And honestly, I think what I like best about this two-parter is that you immediately get to know everybody, you get to know the lore of Equestria, you get to know who these princesses are, and who the main six are, and, well, the lore of the Elements of Harmony, which, by the way, are honesty, loyalty, generosity, kindness, laughter, and the mysterious one, which happens to be magic, which binds all the elements of harmony together. And we find out that each of the main six, as we later get to know them, are the spirits of those elements. And I think what I also love about this episode is that, or this two-parter, is that it knows that deep down inside you're probably thinking, friendship is not going to save anything. Friendship is not going to stop this evil that is going to be our impending doom, which is eternal night. And it shows actually friendship is important, and sometimes and a lot of the times it can be what helps determine to save this town, in this case Equestria. Heck, even Harry Potter says that friendship is magic, so take that. But yeah, it's a great start, and from there you wonder, how can the show get any better from here? What more can you learn about friendship? And, well, that is where it all started.
Now, to be honest, Season 2 has had some interesting episodes. Some that were pretty twisted, like The Return of Harmony and Lesson 0. Some adorable ones, like Baby Cakes. And some fun ones, like Sisterhood Social and May the Best Pet Win. Plus, I thought it was pretty cool that this season was where MLP had their first Halloween and Christmas episodes. And there are a few other episodes that I liked, like Sweet and Elite, and the two-part finale, A Canterlot Wedding. Anyway, my pick for Season 2 would have to be Cutie Pox. In this episode, Apple Bloom grows impatient for her cutie mark and finds a way to get one immediately, only to end up with more than she bargained for. To me, this episode is both relatable and pretty serious, because I know how it feels to be impatient with something that's yet to happen in your lives. I mean, I was very impatient to become an Eagle Scout before I succeeded in 2009. Plus, like Bridal Gossip, I like the friendship chemistry between Apple Bloom and Zecora. But I didn't like that Apple Bloom stole Zecora's heart's desire, which was how she got the Cutie pox in the first place. And with every Cutie mark that Apple Bloom gets, things start to go from okay to crazy to out of control. And it makes me want to quote Pinkie Pie by saying,
Make it stop! Oh, make it stop!
thankfully, Apple Bloom was cured by Sakura's Seeds of Truth plant. Plus, I like that this episode teaches viewers that taking dishonest shortcuts to get what your heart desires doesn't really work out, because you gotta earn and work for it in order to make your dreams come true. So, Bonnie, what's your season 2 pick?
Easily a Canterlot wedding. I mean, there were a lot of great episodes in season 2, but honestly, I think nothing tops a Canterlot wedding. I show this to anybody who thinks that, who still thinks that My Little Pony's just some little girl show and has nothing of value. This looked Disney good. Yes, I said it. This looked and paced itself like a Disney movie. The songs were great. The animation was top-notch. The characters really bloomed and had a chance to shine in each moment. Even though it was primarily focused on Twilight Sparkle, you really felt like that everybody had a part to play. And basically, that is the theme of the story, where Twilight Sparkle's brother, Shining Armor, has invited her and her friends to attend the wedding of him and Princess Mi Amore Cadenza, aka Cadence. And when she finds out who Cadence is, she's excited until she learns that Canterlot is under attack thanks to the changelings. Right? And little does everybody know that the queen of the changelings has already snuck into Canterlot and abducted the real Princess Cadence and taken her place. Does that plot almost sound familiar? It's on par with The Little Mermaid. It is just that good. I mean, people have made crossovers with the most popular song, This Day aria, and it really, really feels like it was from The Little Mermaid. And it teaches a good couple lessons, like the power of true love, and also how listening to your instincts is not a bad thing. It's a good thing. And it was a phenomenal conclusion to the second season, and it really made me wonder, My Little Pony has just reached its peak. If that was the finale episode of the whole thing, I'd be satisfied. How can it get any better than this? And that's where we go into the next season.
And now we come to the shortest season in the entire series, with a total of 13 episodes. And to me, some of my favorites include The Crystal Empire, One Bad Apple, Sleepless in Ponyville, and Magical Mystery Cure, where Twilight became an alicorn princess. Anyway, my pick for this spot will have to be Too Many Pinkies. This is where Pinkie Pie finds a way to clone herself so that she can attend all her friends' fun activities at the same time, only for the clones to wreak havoc across town. To me, this episode is both cute and really over the top, and I find the idea of Pinkie Pie wanting to be in multiple places at once is a bit relatable. I mean, surely you folks felt the same way when you had intertwining events. Plus, I think the mirror pool where the cloning process happens is pretty interesting. And I think the antics that the Pinkie Pie clones cause range from funny to crazy. By the way, my favorite scene in this episode is the part where Twilight gives the Pinkie clones a test, so boring that only the Pinkie who wants to remain with her friends will pass. And that test is watching paint dry. And I found it pretty funny when one of the Pinky clones does a callback from Generation 3. Lastly, I like that this episode teaches viewers that sometimes we have to make choices as to who you want to spend time with. Bonnie, what's your season 3 pick?
Well, to be truthful, Joshua, Too Many Pinkie Pies is actually also my favorite episode. But so that I'm not a copycat, I will do my second favorite episode, which is The Magic Duel. Might be wondering, why not Magical Mystery Cure? Well, that might be for another time, but I will first of all say, now that the seasons have gone on, I now get why Princess Twilight was picked to be a princess. Anyways, let's focus on Magic Duel. I think this was one of the best written episodes of the season, and it picked up from Ghostbusters in the first season. Focusing in on a character that we probably had forgotten, also known as the Great and Powerful Trixie! And this time, she comes back for vengeance because Twilight had shown her up with an Ursa Minor, which she originally thought was an Ursa Major. And imagine the humiliation and being the laughingstock all over Equestria. And now she's found something even more powerful than Twilight. And once she loses this magic duel, she's banished from Equestria, and Trixie becomes corrupted by this alicorn amulet that she had found. So not only does it make her very powerful, it makes her insane. And I love the way it's paced. I love how Twilight does everything she can to try and outwit her and her advanced magic. And ultimately she can't. So she finds another way around it thanks to Zecora. It is wonderfully paced. It's wonderfully written. And I love the ultimate trick that Twilight pulls on Trixie in order to get her to remove her amulet. Which nobody else could take off the amulet because it's cursed to only have the owner take it off. And the way they do it is terrific. And on top of that, Trixie becomes a more developed character. I mean, some of the season 1 side characters were kind of, but when they went back and decided to develop these characters a little more, it was wonderful to see what they could do with them and where their story arc goes from there. And I welcomed seeing the great and powerful Trixie come back. So yeah, this was a great episode, and even some of the visual gags in there worked. Like, I love the Pinkie Pie gag. That is a computer animation gag, and it just was hilarious. Once you know what it is. And I also love how I also love how Pinkie Pie is not just when she's doing the One Pony Band, that's not magic. That's just her. Like, that was one of the funniest answers in there. So, now on to season 4.
Season 4. The season where Twilight was new to being a royal pony. And to me, this season has had some great episodes too, like Castlemania, Power Ponies, Bats, Pinkie Apple Pie, the Equestria games, and more. But personally, my all-time favorite from season 4 would have to be Philly Vanilli. In this episode, Big Mac loses his voice due to a turkey call before a performance with the Ponytones. But thankfully, Fluttershy is determined to have the show go on. So, what does she do? She secretly fills in for Big Mac by using Poison Joke and changes back into Flutter Guy in order to make her voice a deep bass while Big Mac lip syncs. Fun fact, this episode's title is a reference to the controversial German R&B group Milli Vanilli, whose lead singers were found to not only be lip-syncing in their concerts, but also using other singers for their music releases. To me, this episode kind of feels like a sequel to Bridal Gossip from season 1, due to the use of Poison Joke, courtesy of Sakura, and the return of Flutter Guy. Plus, ever since the show began, I felt that Fluttershy was the sweetest member of the main 6, and every time I see her interact with animals or sing, I always think of her as like a pony version of Snow White. And I think her song, Music in the Treetops, that she sings while feeding her animal friends, is a very beautiful song. However, I think her stage fright makes her very sympathetic, since I too used to have that when I was little, before I began my hobby for acting back in 2000, starting with elementary school choir. Also, I think the Pony Tones, which include Big Mac, Rarity, Toe Tapper, and Torch Song, is a really talented band. And I think their song, The Music in You, that's sung several times throughout the episode, is a pretty catchy tune. Also, I kind of like that not only does Fluttershy delight in secretly singing along with them, but she can also be a bit too kind when it comes to preventing disappointments from other ponies who want to hear the Ponytone sing. Plus, I thought the part where Applejack interrogates Big Mac was a pretty funny moment. However, the one thing that I didn't like in this episode is Pinkie Pie's lack of subtlety, which makes Fluttershy cry. But thankfully, the part where Rarity reminds Fluttershy that it was her who encouraged the Ponytones to perform for every possible occasion makes up for it. Overall, I like that this episode teaches viewers that sometimes being afraid may stop you from doing something that you love, but at the same time, hiding these fears means that you're only hiding from your true self. So it's better to face those fears so that you can shine and be the best pony or person you can possibly be. So, Bonnie, what's your season 4 pick?
Pinkie Pride. So, season 4 had a lot of great episodes. I loved I loved Power Ponies. I loved Three as a Crowd. That's just to name a few. I mean, they had some great episodes and funny written. I mean, I still say Three as a Crowd is one of the funniest episodes in there because it's Discord. Nothing else to say about that one. But Pinkie Pride. Two names. Pinkie Pride teamed up with Weird Al. You can't get better than that. You can't get better than that. And both of them have great chemistry. They're a lot of fun. This is a musical episode, and the songs absolutely work. They work in favor of the story. They work in favor of the environment and the situation, which basically is Pinkie Pie is going to throw a birthday celebration bash for Rainbow Dash. And along comes the stranger pony called Cheese Sandwich. And he's played by Weird Al. And it's absolutely delightful from there. And that's where the plot goes. Weird Al and Pinkie Pie competing to throw the birthday bash for Rainbow Dash and seeing who can out-party the other. And it's so fun to watch. I mean, Pinkie Pie's already my favorite pony in there, but combining Weird Al in there just doubles the fun. Like, seriously. The songs are fun from both of them, and the singer Pinkie Pie really has a phenomenal voice. I almost get a Let It Go feel from Pinkie's Lament song. And the scenes where they're both competing, I was laughing so hard when they got their chances to break the fourth wall. Speaking of which, I'm surprised that hasn't happened yet. We've been talking about Pinkie Pie, and apparently she's not breaking the fourth.
Hi, Joshua. Hi, Bonnie.
Not breaking the fourth wall.
Whoa! Hey, how did that happen?
It's Pinkie Pie. You don't question it.
So this is what reality looks like. Oh, you're on one of my favorite episodes, Pinkie Pride. Wasn't that great? Cheese Sandwich and I having the best birthday bash for Rainbow Dash.
Pinkie Pie, I think your cutie mark is lighting up. Is the map calling you again?
Oh, that's my cue to go. I'll tell Twilight that you said hi.
Okay, so that happened. Bye, Pinkie. So, yeah. That's the kind of fun I got from this episode, and it teaches a really good moral about not putting your own pride in front of somebody else's day or somebody else's time. And essentially, Pinkie Pie realizes that, and she's willing to put aside her ego and let Cheese Sandwich take over. And then Cheese Sandwich basically says, "But you inspired me." I mean, so the two end up pairing up to make the best birthday bash for Rainbow Dash. I love this episode. I love everything about it. Nothing's wrong with it. Moving on.
So, here we are at Season 5, where not only did Twilight gain the title of Princess of Friendship and gain a new home in the form of the Castle of Friendship, but this season is also where the friendship problems began. And to me, there are several episodes that were pretty memorable, like Rarity Investigates, Slice of Life, Do Princesses Dream of Magic Sheep, Amending Fences, The Main Attraction, the one where Pinkie Pie knows, and The Crusaders of the Lost Mark. By the way, Bonnie, I'm sorry to bring this up, but didn't you mention an episode from this season in one of your old reviews? Would you mind telling the viewers at home which episode it was?
Easily my favorite Season 5 episode is the Cutie Map. Twilight and her friends go on their first assignment of solving a friendship problem to a small town run by Starlight Glimmer, where every pony is literally and figuratively equal, with no special gifts and nothing that makes them stand out. Once they check it out, Starlight steals their cutie marks and tries to convince them that their special talents and differences ruin friendships. It's a race to figure out how the main six can not only save the town from the lie, but straight up expose Starlight as a hypocrite, as well as hold on to who they are. I absolutely love this episode. This isn't just my favorite episode of Season 5. This is my favorite all-time episode, period. And why? Well, it almost reminds me of Lois Lowry's novel The Giver, with a little bit of hint of 1984, where everyone lives in a utopia that is innocently yet hauntingly the same, and no depth in their talents or feelings. I almost wonder if Laura Faust was reading the book while writing this episode. The main six's reactions and interactions with this town is brilliant, and you could see why they collectively needed to be there and not just like one or two of them. Love how Pinkie Pie is the first to be suspicious about everything due to the smiles looking very superficial, while Fluttershy doesn't think there's anything wrong, naturally. And Rainbow Dash is frustrated with how boring everyone and everything is, and the rest aren't sure what to make of it until they get more info. The way they hang together, even when their cutie marks are stolen, is also very well done, as they try to hang on to each other as well as who they are and what their personalities are, as that is beginning to fade fast the longer they don't have their cutie marks. Starlight also makes a great antagonist. I'm not going to call her a villain for this because, as we'll see in later episodes, I don't think she's straight up a villain as much as an antagonist, and we see why later on, why she makes these choices, and that it was because after her friend got his cutie mark from his special talent, she was all alone in the world and didn't want that for herself or for any other pony. So she taught them that differences are heartache. I also love the animation, how it highlights clues that she has always had her cutie mark, like how her color is brighter than the other ponies and the magic from her horn isn't colorless. But what I love the most is the theme of this episode. Starlight believes that the best way to have friendship is to be exactly the same. As kids, it's easy to think that differences are what make things harder with friends, or that disagreeing will automatically ruin a friendship. Heck, even adults think that. Few shows or movies that I've seen, at least, ever direct why differences can make an incredible friendship. I've seen Bratz the movie try it and fail miserably. This goes into a deep dive into the idea. Disagreements will always happen between friends, but it doesn't automatically ruin anything unless you let it. And we've seen for 5 seasons that Twilight Sparkle, Rarity, Applejack, Pinkie Pie, Fluttershy, and Rainbow Dash all think differently, have different talents, and even outright disagree with each other all the time. But whenever they've come together and work out their differences, their friendship always became stronger. And now in this episode, we see it not only put to the test, they now have to convince the other ponies who have been brainwashed to believe that differences lead to heartache, that it doesn't have to, and that talents can sometimes bring ponies together in a unique way. And while they're not able to convince Starlight the truth just yet, they are able to help the other ponies understand that their talents don't automatically make any other pony better than the other. Even to this day, I still sing the praises of this episode. Joshua, which one's your favorite episode?
I'm glad you asked, Bonnie. My pick for season 5 would have to be Castle Sweet Castle, where Princess Twilight's friends try to make her castle feel more like home. To me, this episode is another relatable one, and when I first saw it online, it kind of made me think of how I would make my future home homey. And that was a few years before I moved into my own apartment in late 2022. And even though it started out as a cluttered mess, I like that Applejack and the other ponies made a chandelier out of the Golden Oak Library's roots and decorated it with gems that depict a memorable moment of Twilight's life in Ponyville, which I thought was very, very sweet. And I think the song, Make This Castle a Home, is a really heartwarming song. Plus, I liked the scene where Twilight and Spike are at the spa, and the scene where they pass by the remains of the Golden Oak Library, which was destroyed by T-Rex in the season 4 finale, and think back on the memories they made while living there. So, overall, I like that this episode teaches viewers that a home is defined by the memories and the relationships made within it, not just the building itself. So, let's move on to the next season, shall we? Well, here we are at season 6, the time when Twilight took Starlight Glimmer as her student and helped her learn the ways of friendship. Now, I hear that this season has had some ups and downs, and I hear that every little thing she does has got to be the most hated episode to many MLP fans. But at the same time, there were some good episodes, like The Crystalling, where Twilight received a baby niece named Flurry Heart, No Second Prances, where Starlight made friends with Trixie Lilamoon, along with Stranger Than Fiction, 28 Pranks Later, and The Times That Are a Changeling, where Spike made friends with a changeling named Thorax. But the one episode from this season that stuck out to me the most is the Christmas episode, A Heartwarming Tale, where Princess Twilight tells Starlight the story of Snowfall Frost, a powerful yet bitter unicorn who hates Heartwarming Eve and values studying and magic above everything else. During the night, while working on a spell to erase the holiday from existence, Snowfall is visited by 3 pony spirits who each help teach her the importance of friendship and change her ways. Now admit it, you knew that if I ever did a list like this that I would include this episode. And why wouldn't I? I mean, this has got to be one of my favorite Christmas Carol adaptations yet. Next to the 2009 Disney mocap version with Jim Carrey, along with The Muppet Christmas Carol and The Man Who Invented Christmas. By the way, believe it or not, this holiday season marks my 20th time doing A Christmas with Scrooge with my friends at Musical Theater Village. And to me, the story in this episode is very well narrated by Twilight. The roles that our favorite ponies play throughout the episode are well done, though I wonder what it would have been like if the Marley bit, which would have been played by Discord, wasn't scrapped. Also, like Pinkie Pride, Magical Mystery Cure, and Crusaders of the Lost Mark, this is another musical episode, and I think the songs are absolutely wonderful, with my favorite being Heartswarming Eve is Here Once Again, which is included as an honorable mention on my top 10 all-time favorite Christmas songs, along with Pinkie's Present and Luna's Future. Oh, and speaking of which, Pinkie, Luna, if you're watching this, I want you gals to know that I play both your roles this holiday season.
No way, Joshua! That is awesome! I can't wait to tell Luna about this. She's gonna be so happy for you! Oh, and Twilight is hi!
Oh, Pinkie. Lastly to mention, I love how this episode teaches viewers that the holidays are about spending time with your loved ones, and that focusing solely on work and isolation leads to a cold, bleak existence. Bonnie, what's your season 6 pick?
Surprisingly for season 6, Heartswarming Tale is also my favorite episodes, and ironically I saw this episode after watching Scrooge, and I'm a sucker for Christmas Carol, great songs, and the cast was just perfect. Though minus 5 points for not having a Discord Marley. That would have been awesome! That would have put this over the top! But, again, to not be a copycat, I'll go with my second favorite episode, To Where and Back Again. First of all, is it just me, or does that title almost have a Lord of the Rings reference in it? Plus 10 points if it does. Starlight goes back to her old village to enjoy the sunset celebration. Unfortunately, she cannot forgive herself for how she treated the town and is afraid of the dangers of being a leader. When she abruptly returns to Ponyville, she finds out that the changelings are back. Now it's up to her, Trixie, and Discord, and Thorax, the reformed changeling, to save all of Equestria without being able to use their magic. To quote Discord, this is quite the combination of secondary characters. I love that it's not the main 6 that save the day this time, but secondary characters. They don't entirely get along, especially with Discord, but they all care about the ponies that they're saving. And I love that it's what motivates Discord to try and stop the changelings, even without his magic. He's hilarious and manages to still distract the other changelings away from the team. I love that we also dive a little more into the changeling lore and how they work. The last time we saw them was in the season 2 finale, if you don't count the alternate future in season 5. I also love seeing that the real way they are when they give their love, they look like reborn butterflies. It is so cool. I also love how Starlight, who had already been a bad leader, gets a chance to put everything that she's learned from Twilight to the test, and that being a leader doesn't automatically make her a bad pony. It's just how she leads that makes the difference, not the title. Leaders don't automatically bark orders, but come up with plans based on each other's strength, working together, listening to each other, and encouraging during tough moments. That's something I've personally been able to relate to. And I love how she also tries to use her past in order to reach out to Queen Chrysalis and try to help her change her ways. Sadly, it doesn't work, but it felt like everything came full circle for Starlight's arc, and she's just a wonderful character. I love how far she's come. I love watching her journey. and I love to see where she goes from here.
Now, believe it or not, I kind of call season 7 the calm before the storm, since this was the season that preceded the 2017 theatrical movie. And while it was slightly an improvement over season 6 to most MLP fans, personally, there were a few episodes that I loved, like Celestial Advice, All Bottled Up, The Perfect Pair, A Flurry of Emotions, Forever Philly, Parental Guidance, It Isn't the Main Thing About You, Once Upon a Zeppelin, and a couple others. But the one episode from season 7 that I liked the most is A Royal Problem. This episode is where Starlight Glimmer is sent by the Cutie map to solve a friendship problem in Canterlot. While there, Starlight learns that Princess Celestia and Princess Luna are unawareingly hurting each other's feelings due to how difficult each other's royal duties are. So, what does Starlight do? Well, she impulsively switches their cutie marks. To me, this episode is kind of like an MLP version of Freaky Friday, which I blogged last year. However, instead of a mother and a daughter switching bodies, it involves two sisters switching talents. Plus, I like that Starlight Glimmer serves as a main character in this episode, and I like that she tries to help Celestia and Luna learn from each other's perspectives. Plus, I think the scenes where Twilight is in the form of a ballerina music box is pretty cute. Also, I like the idea of Princess Celestia making a pancake breakfast to show that she cares, and the idea of Princess Luna putting up lavender flowers in the hallways to help ponies in the castle sleep soundly. And to me, those are both very sweet moments, despite being ignored by each other. Plus, I think Starlight's nightmare, where we're introduced to Daybreaker, is very thrilling, and I like how Luna and Celestia manage to defeat her by using the power of faith and trust. And I thought the part where they reconcile with a better appreciation for each other's duties was very heartwarming. So, Bonnie, what's your favorite episode from season 7?
Well, shockingly, my favorite episode really is Royal Problem also, because, well, I love how it showed that Princess Celestia and Princess Luna were real sisters with real problems, and I love that Starlight gets a chance to prove herself, but also especially how she gets to use her magic to actually get them to understand each other. But let's go for my second favorite episode. This was a dilemma. I was either going to go with Discordant Harmony or, well, the choice that I'm picking now, which is Perfect Pair. In this episode, after Apple Bloom brings home a jar of pear jam, she, Applejack, and Big Mac go on a road trip to learn about the feud between the Apple family and the Pear family, which leads them to accidentally learn about their parents, Bright Macintosh and Buttercup, or her real name being Pear Butter. I'm a sucker for Romeo and Juliet stories when they're done right. And this one was definitely done right. I love that the trio find out that they're half pear, and I find the two lovers to just be delightful characters, and I love their chemistry. I'm a sucker for some of these love stories. I can't help it. And I can't help but love the final shot especially, when everyone sees the literal seeds of Bright Macintosh and Buttercup's love grown into two trees that are entwined. That's just a beautiful moment and a nice piece of animation. I also love how the trio learns about their parents from their parents' friends, since Granny Smith herself would always refuse to talk about it. We later find out and understand why. Would it have been easier if Goldie Delicious told them the whole thing? Yeah, it would have been, but it's also nice to hear from the different ponies who knew their parents in depth, like Mrs. Cake and Burnt Oak, because, well, let's be honest, books can give the context of what a friendship was like, but it's much more nice to hear in depth from other people or other ponies what your family's been like, especially in their experience. And it was also nice to hear Big Mac ask to hear more about his dad from Burnt Oak, who was Bright McIntosh's friend. I mean, I like that moment. And just like Romeo and Juliet, it teaches in a kind of tamer way the consequences of a senseless feud. Grandpere disowns his daughter and grows old in regret, while Granny Smith angrily buries the memory. Both of them outlive their kids, but gain a second chance with their grandchildren, and that's that's a bittersweet ending, you could say. Is it as bittersweet as Romeo and Juliet? Nah. But still, Grandpere never gets to see his daughter again. Never gets to apologize for it. The only way he could ever make up for it is by being the grandfather to his grandchildren from then on out and putting the feud behind him. And Granny Smith reluctantly also puts aside the feud that they've had. And it's very sweet to see. And again, that final shot showing that pears and apples grow together in that one, and they make it literal. That's my pick for Season 7. On to Season 8.
Well, every pony, here we are at the second to last season, taking place after the movie, where Twyla and her friends open up a school to teach ponies and other creatures the value of friendship. Like Season 6, this was kind of a mixed bag, but there were some good episodes like School Days, The Breakup Breakdown, Moltdown, Marks for Effort, Sounds of Silence, and School Rays. However, my pick for Season 8 is Surf and or Turf. Now, this episode is where the Cutie Mark Crusaders get sent by the Cutie Map to Mount Eris to help a young hippogriff named Terramar figure out where he belongs. To me, this episode is very nostalgic. I love that it takes place at Mount Eris and Equestria, and I like that after the Storm King was defeated, several of the hippogriffs returned to their original selves and repopulated Mount Eris, while some of the sea ponies have decided to remain and live in Equestria. However, I kind of wish that Queen Novo and Princess Skystar could have had a few more appearances during Season 8 and 9. But then again, Kristen Chenoweth and Uzo Aduba are pretty expensive actresses. Anyway, I also like that the CMC get to experience being sea ponies for their first time. And I think their friendship mission is pretty unique, since it's not Cutie Mark related. Plus, I think Terramar's problem with living both as a hippogriff and as a sea pony is kind of similar to the kind of problem that some kids go through when their parents are separated. And I like how the CMC try to help him by listing the pros and cons of each place. Also, I like that during their mission, Twilight comes along in order to get Silverstring's parents to sign a permission slip for a field trip and for research reasons. However, while I do think the song Your Heart Is in Two Places is a decent song, at the same time, I don't like that it drives an unexpected wedge between Scootaloo and Sweetie Belle. But thankfully, the picnic on the beach where Skybeak and Oceanflow apologize to their son for making him feel like he had to choose between his two homes and tell him that he can keep coming back and forth as he pleases makes up for it. Overall, I like that this episode teaches viewers that children should not feel pressured to choose between divorced or separated parents/homes. So, Bonnie, what's your Season 8 pick?
Season 8 surprisingly had a lot of really good episodes. A Rock Hoof in a Hard Place was a very bittersweet episode and made me very happy. Sounds of Silence had another great lesson What Lies Beneath had a great lesson about about helping friends face their fears. And I felt like I got to know the 6 new friends at the school, but not as much as my absolute pick, which is School Raise. That one was epic for several reasons. One of them was it had a wicked twist villain. Who would suspect that the cutest yet most annoying little pony in there would be the mastermind villain of season 8? But that's how it is. Cozy Glow is the villain of the final 2 episodes, and good grief. No, first of all, I have to say I knew about it earlier because Facebook spoiled it for me. So to quote The Simpsons, thank you, Mr. Blow the Picture, for me. But even with that in mind, her motivation is really good. A lot of the times it has the villains fighting against friendship. Here she's she's trying to harness the power of friendship for herself. And that is messed up. And I also like that it's not the main 6 who saved the day this time, but rather her students. Specifically, Yona, a yak, Silverstream, a hippogriff, Achilles, a changeling, Sandbar, pony, Smolder, who is a dragon, and Gallius, who is a griffin. They're the ones who fight against, who ultimately win against Cozy Glow. And I actually like that. I like that her students not only have finally taken Twilight's lessons to heart, but are the embodiment of it now. And it makes me wonder, with the movie that came out after season 9 was over, why weren't they the new main 6 that we could have focused on? I mean, I like the movie okay, but these 6 are epic characters. And I know it's called My Little Pony, but still, these are epic characters. They're fun. I like them very much. I like their different personalities. And it really shows in here. So that's my pick for season 8.
Well, folks, this is it. Season 9. The final chapter in My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, where Twilight trains to be the new ruler of Equestria, while at the same time, several villains like Sombra, Tyrek, Cozy Glow, and Queen Chrysalis are brought together by Grogar to take Twilight and her friends down. To me, this season was a very rocky, but still a thrilling one, and there were several episodes that I liked, like She's All Yak, The Last Crusade, Growing Up is Hard to Do, The Big Mac Question, and the ending of the end. However, if I had to choose an all-time favorite from season 9, it would have to be The Last Problem, where an older and wiser Twilight is visited by a student named Luster Dawn who has a friendship problem. As she attempts to solve it, Twilight looks back on the times that she and her friends spent together. To me, this makes a very emotional epilogue / finale to the TV show, and I like that during Twilight's reign, Canterlot, Ponyville, and other places in Equestria are inhabited not only by ponies, but also dragons, changelings, griffins, yaks, hippogriffs, and various other creatures living together in harmony. Plus, I feel like Twilight, as ruler of Equestria, looks very, shall we say, lovely, especially with that flowing mane of hers. And I think her top student, Luster Dawn, is pretty similar to how Twilight was when the show began, due to her being very diligent in her magic studies, and that she sees friendship as a distraction and a waste of time. Also, I like the flashback sequences that take place during the day of Twilight's coronation, and to me, They range from emotional and comical at times, and while the ceremony was a disaster, it was still a glorious day for the main six. And I like that Twilight decreed that she and her friends meet once a moon, and that she formed the Council of Friendship in order to maintain relationships with her friends for the many years to come. Also, I thought it was very sweet when Starlight and Spike gave Twilight a book of memories which they had been working on throughout the My Little Pony clip show series, Friendship is Forever, which I highly recommend for every My Little Pony fan to check out for nostalgia reasons. Lastly to mention, I think the song, The Magic of Friendship Grows, is just so beautiful and emotional, and every time I listen to it, I always get happy tears. And I like that during the song, not only do each of the main six get a solo, but I like that Luster Dawn immediately starts making friends in Ponyville, and that many of our favorite characters are shown to have grown up with new careers, new and bigger families, and new and fulfilling lives. So, overall, I like that this episode teaches viewers that friendship requires continuous efforts and work to maintain, and that life can be much harder and less fulfilling without it. So, Bonnie, what's your season 9 pick?
Well, season 9 was actually a pretty tough pick. Not because of all the episodes that were good. I mean, there were definitely plenty of episodes that were good. But this was where Hasbro knew they were saying goodbye and letting us take it all in. So I'm going to go with episodes 24 and 25, which is the ending of the end. Oh my gosh, talk about Avengers Endgame style with My Little Pony. We had a battle in season 4 that looked like something out of Dragon Ball, or so a lot of people have commented. And here, I'm really getting an Endgame vibe from here. So the plot of this is that Discord is a turncoat, posing as Grogar, and thanks to his efforts, T-Rex, Queen Chrysalis, and Cozy Glow have now teamed up, and they're going to go against Twilight and her friends and all of Equestria. And how? Whether through spreading rumors among other ponies, and as well as snatching power from the 6 pillars, as well as the princesses, and getting revenge against Starlight, who had pretty much foiled Queen Chrysalis in an earlier season. Oh my gosh, where do I begin on how good this is? First of all, I'll talk about the one thing that absolutely peeved me. It's your fault, Discord! It's your fault! You're the one who's responsible for this! How did you think that any of this was a good idea? How did you think that that teaming these 3 up would would not backfire in your face? Oh my gosh, Discord is such a turncoat. I can't believe that they actually did this. That he actually did this. Oh my gosh. But that aside, this was really good. I thought that the way that the 3 villains worked together, not only in these 2 episodes, but in prior episodes, was awesome. They had epic chemistry working with each other and against each other. And the way that Discord is unintentionally revealed to be Grogar this whole time was an epic, wicked twist. So I'll give them that. I'm not saying that his plan was good to begin with. It wasn't. But I am saying that was a really good twist. And I did not see that coming at all. And thank you, Facebook, for not spoiling that one. And, well, when the main 6 realize everything they are up against, not just the 3 villains, but the enmity between Earth ponies, Pegasi, and unicorns, once again, they have to unite them all in order to not only stop these three, but even stop the Wendigos that have come back. Because without friendship, they're all weak. They're all going to be destroying each other. And they'll focus on all the differences about themselves rather than how they can unite. And when they unite when they unite up against the three villains, oh my gosh. This legit made me think of Avengers Endgame in every conceivable way, and even had a cameo from Tempest from the My Little Pony movie. Let's talk about that for a brief minute. I know that she doesn't get a line in there, and I know she's in there for a few seconds, but my gosh, I cannot think of many television shows that actually acknowledge the movie versions of them. They'll either just pretend it never happened or not count it as canon or even think, whatever about it. This outright acknowledges, yeah, we went on this adventure. We were up against the Storm King and Tempest. The fact that My Little Pony did that, oh my gosh, that is amazing. Way to go, guys! And the lesson that is ultimately learned from this is not necessarily Twilight's confidence. I mean, she's already begun to learn that slowly, but just the fact that it really is friendship that unites everybody. This is not, and the way that they've handled it through all 9 seasons just shows that My Little Pony was not just some sappy little girl story. It truly took time and effort to develop who these characters were and these different lessons of friendship and how coming together truly does bring a magical bond that is not always, that needs better attention nowadays. And that's what I've always loved about My Little Pony. And season 9 knew all of that. And the way they took time to wrap that up was wonderful and epic. And frankly, T-Rex, Chrysalis, and Cozy Glow definitely got the punishments they deserved, though Discord really needed a huge slap on the hand for what he did. Oh my gosh.
Wonderful. Well, every pony, that concludes the top favorite My Little Pony Friendship is Magic episodes from each season. I'd like to thank Bonnie Joy O'Connor for joining me and sharing them with all of you.
And thank you for allowing me to join you.
Hey, don't forget about me!
Yes, and you too, Pinky. Thank you for popping in on us. You always made it fun.
Hope you two can come to Equestria sometime!
I hope we can someday. Hope we can come to Equestria someday. In the meantime, it's time to go back to the world. Thank you again, Joshua. I hope we can do this sometime again.
Take care, Bonnie. As for the rest of you, be sure to join me again next time. Mustang Power. Oh, and happy 15th anniversary to My Little Pony Friendship is Magic.
I simply can't imagine there'd be a day